those Greek words which those Greek-speaking early Christians would have heard being read out to them. Beginning of the good news of Jesus Christ, Son of God, just as it stands written in Isaiah the prophet. Look, I am sending your angel before your face, who will prepare your roads. A voice of one crying out in the wilderness, make ready the Lord's road, make his paths straight. How did that sound to you? What kind of impact did that have? Because that is how Mark's Gospel would first have been heard by those early Christians gathered in that tiny room. It's straight in there. There's no explanation, no introduction. We hear nothing about Jesus's family tree, nothing about his origins, nothing about his birth, nothing about his upbringing, just the beginning of the good news of Jesus Christ, the Son of God. Secondly, it's rather rough and ready. And one of the things we'll see as we move through the Gospel according to Mark is the way in which Mark is slightly awkward. His grammar isn't sophisticated, a lot of sentences beginning with "and immediately." The grammar, the style leaves a certain amount to be desired. There's a rough and readiness about it. But despite that, Mark is arguably the most dramatic of the four canonical Gospels, the four Gospels in our New Testament. Very fast-paced, very descriptive characters, provokes all kinds of questions in the imagination, slightly enigmatic without spelling things out. It's dramatic even in its brevity and its stylistic and grammatical awkwardness. So in these lectures, we're going on a journey through Mark's Gospel. And I use that word journey advisedly because the opening of the Gospel has already referred to the Lord's way or the Lord's road or the Lord's path, which is being prepared. And that motif of the road or the way or the path is a recurring motif which draws together various scenes of Mark's Gospel, because it is a story which is recounting the way of the Lord, which is the path that Christ will take through suffering to the cross and to resurrection. It is a literal road from Galilee to Jerusalem, which is also the way of the cross. And our journey will be taking us on that road and teaching us about that way which Jesus presents to his disciples. Before we move on, however, it's important for us to reflect on the fact that having Mark's Gospel and three other Gospels, Matthew, Luke and John, in our New Testament was not a foregone conclusion for the early church. Effectively, there were four alternatives that the early church could have gone with. First of all, they could have decided that you just need one focused message and therefore only one gospel would do. This effectively was the position of a 2nd century heretic by the name of Marcion, whose view was that the God of the Old Testament was such a wrathful God that he could not be the same God as the Father of Jesus Christ. And therefore, the canon of Scripture must exclude the Old Testament. It must just be about Jesus. And for Marcion, there is only one gospel. It's the gospel according to Luke, although he heavily edited Luke to remove any elements in